The epic final, Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz. We saw it in Wimbledon and we're going to get it at the US Open. He's going to be able to handle a situation in a Grand Slam final against Djokovic because he's beaten him in one. I'm going for Carlos Alcaraz.
The main man, the number 24, Novak Djokovic. US Open time, baby! Let's go! Gauff could be our US Open champion.
3-set final in which Iga wins. Near on near impossible that Djokovic doesn't make the final.
Novak Djokovic claiming his 24th Grand Slam title on the women's side, then Ostapenko.
No surprise here. I think that Novak Djokovic will win this year's US Open, and Coco Gauff is going to be the American that wins it on the women's side.
That Novak Djokovic will win this Grand Slam, beating Alcaraz in the final. I believe that Sabalenka is going to ace up this Grand Slam.
Sabalenka and Djokovic taking it.
Novak Djokovic will have as many Grand Slams as there are hours in the day. Ons Jabeur is going to do it. I really believe. I think Ons has learned from her mistakes.
Novak Djokovic is going to win the US Open.
Aryna Sabalenka is winning her second Grand Slam. Carlos Alcaraz is going back-to-back. He's going to defend his US Open title.
Coco Gauff on home soil is taking home the cake. Gauff will win.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are. Day 7 is in the books, and we had some fantastic matches yesterday. As you'll notice, if you're watching this, not just listening, myself, JG, next to each other today for this podcast. And we're going to be going through Coco Gauff, her amazing run. Iga Swiatek out of the US Open. The reigning champion is defeated by Ostapenko. And also Novak Djokovic still cruising through a straight sets win for him too. How you doing? Good to see you in the flesh, mate.
Yeah, doing well, mate. As people are probably watching, you can see the grass in the background. I can assure you we're not at Wimbledon. We're very much focused on the hard courts of America. And what a day it was for America, because there's so many Americans through to the next round, and a real prospect of one of them maybe making history and beating Djokovic and getting all the way to a Grand Slam final in the US Open. But long way to go, because Novak Djokovic still looking incredible. He didn't drop a set against Borna Gojo. It went like we thought it would, and yeah, he's getting better and better with each match which passes. You'd have expected him to have won that one comfortably. I think it is an easier one than the round before in Laszlo Djere, but still he got it done. Forgetting Djokovic, we will speak about it. Let's speak about the big story of the day, and that was the upset. It is a shock upset. I know some people were saying it was going to happen. Did you say it was going to happen?
It's in my bracket.
Yeah, we had Harman as well. He had Ostapenko winning the whole thing. So we've got a few little know-it-alls on Game to Love who think they know what's going to happen, but they've got this one right. So I'll give you a pat on the back. Nice big hard one.
That's why I came to meet you today. I wanted it in person. I wanted the pat on the back, so I've got it.
I've even taken my hat off for you.
Brilliant.
You've got a double whammy. That was a really good call from you. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, Ostapenko was at 6s to win. Of course, she's never lost to Iga. And that record continues.
Yeah, maybe we'll meet up again if Ben Shelton makes the semi-finals.
Will you give me a hard pat on the back as well?
I'll take this hat off as well. But yeah, Ostapenko, it was always possible. And you see here on court, it says, honestly, I don't believe it. I don't believe in it 100%. It's a great sports rivalry, which is not Ostapenko versus Iga. It's Ostapenko versus the electronic line calling. She argues with everything. Doesn't matter if you're in the stands, it's the electronic robots, the umpire, the ball kids. She'll argue with anything. If you're in front of her, you're going to get it. And, well, I just love it. I think it's just good for tennis.
She's a funny character. She's a bit like Marmite. A lot of people don't like her. But you either love her or you hate her. I am on the side of I do really like her. I find her very interesting. I see some similarities to Daniel Medvedev in her mannerisms. that she's a different kind of player to anyone. Nobody you can compare in the tennis sense to Ostapenko. It's a very high-risk strategy. She knew what she had to do against Iga, and that was play ultra-aggressive and basically pose a lot of questions to Iga and worry her and make her have to think a little bit different. But yeah, this quote's quite a funny one, really. It's just her against the electronic line calling. Every tournament, she always criticises the electronic line calling. She hates it. She doesn't agree with it. She thinks it's wrong most of the time. She doesn't believe in it.
Why?
I think she's just a bit crazy, really, with certain things. I liked where she was sending that guy out. I don't think it was against Iga. It was in the round before where she was ushering him out. All the crowd were backing her. But she's certainly a character.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to have a look at Iga's run in fourth rounds at Slams.
Yeah.
But just before we get to that one, I know that Ostapenko now the only player to have 4 wins against Iga. And that in itself, we know Iga's susceptible to like bogey players. Rybakina seems to be one of them. Definitely now we can confirm Ostapenko is definitely a bogey player for Iga.
They have something in common, and that's that they can hit very big. It's just crazy that Sabalenka, I feel, falls short sometimes. It seems to be in the balance that much. It's quite close, but I feel she falls short. And there's so many different narratives really to talk about this match. Of course, you've got the element, the fact that obviously Ostapenko doesn't lose to Iga. She's beaten her 4 times. You've then got the other aspect in terms of Ostapenko is very good friends with Aryna Sabalenka. They're really good friends off the court. And she's done her a favour because Aryna Sabalenka has become world #1 right now. And Ostapenko put a Instagram story out saying, "Congratulations, girl, so happy for you." And she was the person who did it. There's been a lot of memes. I'm not sure if we've got them all here. I forget what tweets I've sent you, but there was a lot of memes sort of circulating. And that was, well, this is quite a funny one. This is just Sabalenka having a dance, and this is the new world #1. But here she is. I think she's going to be a popular world #1, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But Ostapenko, there was one of her saying, I saw like a fan account, and there was like, "Don't worry, I've got you, girl. I'm gonna be the one who beats Iga," because it is a challenge in itself. I feel it's like winning the Grand Slam, just beating Iga. She's done it 4 times.
Well, she's one of the only people who, when she goes up against her, I'm actually considerate. And there's not many people you can say that for. I think Saba, you consider it, but with Ostapenko, I actually get this gut feeling that Iga doesn't like playing her. Because she throws up the, you don't know what you're going to get. Each shot could go that way. It could go in the stands. You don't know where it's going to go. And she breadsticked her in the final set. I mean, impressive.
Saying all of that, though, there wasn't many unforced errors.
Yeah,
and it was really impressive, the lack of unforced errors. Her reaction says it all. I don't know if we've got like an image. You can see her face there. That is her when she's just realised she only hit 20 unforced errors in the match. Early in the tournament, she had 80 unforced errors in one match, so it's 1/4 of that one.
That's mad.
And she was shocked as much as I was because I didn't get to see the match live because it was so late in the UK. It started about 2 o'clock, I think.
Later.
Or later, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was fast asleep at that point. But when I woke up, I was expecting, I saw the score, I was like, what's happened here? Clearly the unforced error is going to be low, but I thought no way near, it wouldn't have been 20. I was still expecting 40, 50 for a 3-set match, more so. But no, 20. So
raised her game.
She was hitting big, and it was clearly finding the court. From what I've seen in the highlights as well.
Yeah.
Everything went well for her, and the reason I think this is significant is because is this a one-off? Is it a case of she's done that in this match, now next match she's going to go back to the 80 unforced? Every round she progresses is going to be against really good players who are in form, clearly.
Coco Gauff next.
Coco Gauff next, who looks so good in the 3rd set.
Yes.
One of the best players in the draw when it comes to a 3rd set.
Yep.
If this is to go free, Ostapenko needs to play like she did against Iga. Otherwise, if she does sort of 40 unforced error set, she will lose.
Yeah, definitely.
She won't be able to get through Coco Gauff like that.
Well, Coco Gauff, obviously she got through a tough match, but the one similarity both of these players have is the final set convincing. And I think Ostapenko's more impressive because it's against Iga, but Coco Gauff, I mean, Wozniacki is not an easy person to play against, and Coco Gauff said in her post-match she reckons that Wozniacki will be a seed for the next slam, and she's playing like a top 5 player, she said. That's how good that Coco rated her. But look at Coco digging in again, and the crowd receptive. Brad Gilbert, she's even telling him to be quiet in the box. She's like saying, look, just shut up for the second, like that, and just telling her team, they all back down to her. And I like that. She's got fire within now.
Yeah, despite her saying that, I feel like they're on a really good level.
Yeah.
It doesn't cross any boundaries of disrespect. I think it's just they're good friends. She's very honest, and I think it's important to be honest in the sport. Let's just end on Iga, because there is one thing I wanted to say quickly on that. Let me just delete this one because we don't need that.
Second one.
No, just, here we go. And this is basically how well she gets on in 4th rounds. Yeah. She's got one of the best records in finals. We know that. She usually breadsticks or bagels. 1st round, 2nd rounds, 3rd round, she's great.
Yeah.
When it gets to a 4th round, she's 6-6. She's never retired. She's lost the first set in the last 6, winning 4 of them. She's also won the first set 5 times, losing 3. And she's got a better win percentage from a set down than a set up. She's last first set won was Wimbledon 2021, and she's won in straight sets only 2 out of 12. Someone who wins always in straight sets very easily.
4th round.
It's strange that it takes a 4th round for her to come out. Whether that's just the opposition, you can have a look at some of the names here, or is it just the fact that she's in that round? I don't think it is the opposition, because you can see here, look at the players she's lost to. Bencic, usually should beat her. Sastea, Zeng, Niemeyer, Rybakina I can understand. And Halep here, a loss as well. She's done very well against Halep and the others, beat Kontaveit and Kostrick and Jabeur. But yeah, it's a strange stat and one to consider. I'll definitely now be a bit wary in any 4th round matchup when I'm doing the draw preview with Iga.
Wow, I like these statistics, but you'll probably remember it better than what I will come the next tournament. But she said that in her post-match press conference, she's not really that happy with her hard court slams this year. She doesn't feel that she's performed to her high level that she really puts on herself. And she couldn't really put her finger on what was wrong. She just said, I just couldn't get the motion going. I sort of lost the motion in the final part of the match and couldn't get it back. And as much as I want to give her credit for admitting that she lost her way, I feel that it's down to Ostapenko as well. You can't find your motion if someone's going boom and they're just firing into the corners. You can't get a rhythm at all. You can't hit the ball.
I'll always stand by this statement, and that is, I think Ostapenko will beat any player if she plays at her best.
Yep.
I don't care who it is. I think even Serena Williams, when she's playing amazing, I think Ostapenko has the ability which no other lady has ever possessed, which is special to have. But I mean, it doesn't happen often. I mean, it sort of takes 1 in 100 sometimes with Ostapenko. But if everything goes well and she doesn't miss, she is unplayable. There's no two ways about it. And she can beat everyone. She'll be probably the favourite for this whole tournament if she can continue that run.
Well, she beats Coco Gauff.
Well, if she plays without making unforced errors and just blackout sort of tennis, just blowing her out the water, then she's got a real shot.
I feel she's like a football team that scores 6 goals a game but concedes 5. That's how I see her. When she wins, but it's exciting. There's always drama.
She's a bit like Chelsea when they used to be good.
I was going to compare them to Blackpool when they came up to the Premier League, and that Ian Holloway's all-out attack meant they lost 4-3 nearly every match, but it's the opposite way around. But anyway, let's move on to, we've spoken about that. We've spoken about Coco, who, let's move on to through the tweets.
We've spoken about Sabalenka as well, but just I want to speak about Iga a little bit, because her season, I saw some statistics on how she's now fared in all of the Grand Slams and Masters. It's not a bad season, don't get me wrong, but one thing I was a bit surprised about is she's not won a Masters event this year.
That is surprising.
So there's a few semi-finals in there or late runs, but she's not won an actual Masters event. So what I wanted to pose to you is, of course, Sabalenka's now the new world #1. Do you think that will be the case come the end of the year? Or do you think Iga's going to regain that world #1 status come the end of the year?
I think she'll be able to hold on to it, Sabalenka, if I'm perfectly honest. I think that what Iga did last year...
Well, we're off the clay now. So
what Iga did was so incredible last year that I feel that all those points, it was always a possibility this year that she was going to have to defend a lot and she may drop off a little bit just due to the points. I feel that next year we could see her straight back on top again though, because she'll be able to win back all the points again. So it could just be a little bit like that until she really finds that groove throughout the whole year again. Maybe we won't see her win 37 matches in a row ever again, who knows? But we might see consistent seasons that last for a very, very long time. And she's good over the whole year then, rather than just having a good year, bad year, good year, bad year. She's so young still, so I'm not too concerned about it. But Sabalenka, she's young as well.
Yep.
And this is a good rivalry. I think it's going to continue for quite a few years. And I'm hoping Gauff can get herself in the mix as well, because the girl's turning into a woman in this tournament. That's the one thing which is really noted. I like the fact that she's sticking up for herself. I like the fact that she's confident. And her press conference goes on for ages. She's willing to take every question there is. And it's about 15 minutes. Some of them are about 2 minutes, 15 minutes.
I think it's very interesting. She's an interesting person to listen to as well. So
Yeah.
there's very few press conferences I can listen to from start to finish, but she's someone I'm intrigued to hear what she's got to say. And there's a lot of demand for questions with her as well. I think it's because she gives good answers.
Yes,
You've got to remember, in these sort of sporting situations with a lot of sports stars, not just in tennis, how many times you see just the same sort of mundane responses, and
Always.
you kind of wish you never asked the question because you know what the answer is going to be before you've asked it. And I feel she doesn't give that element because she has that something a bit different.
Is that Andy Murray you're talking about?
No, I'm talking more about footballers, to be fair, 'cause a lot of them do it, and it's a bit
don't.
frustrating. But you do get it in tennis, an awful lot as well.
Football's the worst for it. I can't stand a football post-match interview. Yeah, well, it's a really tough match.
When they always reference the team, and that's the most important part of it.
They're like, well, what's that mean to you? Well, the team did great today.
Yeah.
It's always the team. But they do thank their team in tennis as well. But
yeah. Before we move on to a very big team, and that's the American team and how they're doing, I want to speak about, of course, Novak Djokovic. We covered the match. You finished the whole thing off.
Yeah.
And we've got a tweet here from Tennis. And they said, I don't know if you want to get it up on the screen. It is on here, on this one. And it says, did you know, with his 85th career win at the US Open, Djokovic has now won 85 or more matches at all 4 majors.
Love
so
that.
you've got 89 at Australian Open, 92 Roland Garros, 92 Wimbledon, 85 US Open, US Open being the lowest. But however many matches he now wins more, that will be the lowest one, which is a record in itself. So the record can only be extended.
Crazy.
And Djokovic was already the only player with 80 plus wins at each of them. So he's already got the 80 plus. Is he going to extend that to the sort of 90s? Well, he needs one more win at the Australian Open, which you'd expect him to be able to do. He could, come the end of his career, easily be 100 plus on all of them. And I think that's quite a sensible number. He's not that far at all. And yeah, against Borna Gojo, we're not going to speak about the match too much because I don't think it was much of a match.
No.
I quite liked the fact that Gojo's name rhymes and we were able to sing loads of songs. I also liked his hair was quite nice, the bleached hair. I thought it went with the outfit and the wet look. Aside from that, some good winners at times, but Djokovic was always going to win, and it was very, very straightforward in the end for the Joker. So let's move on to one of the final segments, and that is, we've spoke about the big story in Iga going out. We spoke about Djokovic now and Coco Gauff. Let's speak about the Americans, and they are flying. We've got, you can see the 3 here, Taylor Fritz, Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton, the pride of their nation. The US hopefuls are putting in work at this year's US Open, and this is now 3 American men in the quarterfinal for the first time since 2005.
Wow, that's a good statistic. We obviously got Coco Gauff, and we've still got Pegula on the women's. We got Madison Keys, we got Peyton Stearns. The Americans are bringing it in this tournament. I love that they're playing to the best of their ability, because this is what the US Open's about. If we want to get the best, the best reception from the crowd, guaranteed we're going to get it if there are US players left in the draw, and it keeps the intrigue in the tournament, I think. Taylor Fritz, he's got a big challenge coming up. It's Novak Djokovic again, his 8th match against him. Will it be 8th time lucky? Interesting though.
He's lost all 7, man.
Coco Gauff lost her first 7 against Iga. Well, guess what happened in the last one? She beat her. Is Taylor Fritz going to go to Coco for some advice, maybe, about beating some of these great players?
He did say in his press conference that Djokovic has done him over so many times that he's hoping that this is going to be different. And he seems quite confident about maybe making a change. So let's see. Taylor Fritz not dropped a set. I think he's the only player left in the draw who's not lost one on the men's. And he's playing with a US Open crowd behind him. Potentially, then that semi-final, if Djokovic can get through Fritz, will be against one of these other Americans. Ben Shelton or Francis TFO. I feel like if it's Francis TFO, that will be a harder match for Djokovic because I think he will get the crowd more on his side. Not that Ben Shelton don't, like he's a young player. I'm sure the crowd will be really excited for him.
More
I
experience.
feel like Francis TFO is more of an entertainer and he'll get everyone really on board with him. It'll be a late match. The American crowd will be drinking a few beers and I think it will get very rowdy. And Djokovic may get a bit frustrated, but we've seen him in these situations about 1 million times and he always comes through and wins. So, very good for American tennis. Out of them 3, who has the best shot of beating Djokovic? I may surprise you, but I think it's actually the next match. I think Taylor Fritz has a better shot than the other 2.
Yep.
And that semi-final, if he does beat Fritz, I think will be a lot easier than the quarter-final.
Yeah, it's been a bit like that, his draw, hasn't it? He's had Laszlo Djere, tough. Borna Gojo, quite easy. Then he's going to have Taylor Fritz, tough.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be, don't say, Shelton off TFO will not be easy. That will be still one of his toughest matches. It'll be the second toughest match of his draw so far, behind the Fritz. I think the Fritz one will be the toughest match.
TFO's been in the semi-final last year, so he's got experience. This time, he'll have, well, he had the crowd on his side last time. This time, if he makes it there, it will be, I feel like, less nerve-wracking for him. He'll have a different type of challenge if he was to get through, because it could be potentially another American in Fritz. It could be Novak Djokovic. I'm sure he's hoping for Fritz, not Djokovic, because Djokovic, absolute beast. Shelton, he's your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be the biggest surprise out of the lot. No one's expecting him out of those 3. Maybe he's the one who makes it.
Well, I've got it in my bracket. I've actually called a Shelton-Djokovic semi-final before a ball was hit, so I believe it can happen. And I would love to see it happen, personally. And I think we've seen a big sort of shift now in the fact that there's so many young players coming through. But let's just look at this one. 149 mile an hour serve. I mean, there's not many better than that, is there?
It's so quick. I mean, he just upped his best, personal best. It was 147, now it's 149. What's it going to be in the next round? 151? Is he going up in 2 mile an hour?
Well, I think the fastest at the US Open is 151.
Okay.
So it's very close to that. Let me just verify that, though.
I'd like to know what his fastest ever serve is, Ben Shelton, because we're only getting, obviously, these statistics from slams, but it would be nice to know how fast is his limit. Because
it's 152. Roddick remains the record holder for the fastest serve at the US Open, 152 mile an hour. He's 3 mile an hour off. I would love to see him sort of break that, but I feel like it gets to a point like, can you even hit it any faster?
Wow.
I feel like he's maxing out. That's insane, really. Lightning fast, and I want to see more of them.
That's the beautiful thing about serving as well. It's not the biggest guy that always hits the fastest serve as well. It's the technique.
It's so difficult.
Yeah, his technique is obviously excellent. I would say placement maybe needs to be sometimes a bit better, but if you're hitting it that hard, sometimes if you get it even to the player, they can't control where it goes. It might just go long or... I think it's exciting though. Ben Shelton, he adds an extra dynamic with that serve, and it may be something that gets him out of trouble in Grand Slam matches. Let's go quickly over to Taylor Fritz, because this is his first quarter-final since that match against Nadal at Wimbledon last year, and likely faces Djokovic, which we know it is, and who he was beaten 6-love, 6-4 in 62 minutes just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was at Cincinnati.
Oh, I mean, it's brutal.
I think that was actually quarterfinals, maybe of Cincinnati. It was definitely, it wasn't too late on in the draw. And
it was so one-sided.
He got demolished, yeah. It wasn't competitive in America on the hard court. So things aren't looking great, but I feel he's going to play better at this US Open one than the Cincinnati match.
I quite like Fritz in a 5-set match. I don't know why.
I just thought he's got to play better than that, and it's got to be better. I just can't see it being like that again. But still, Djokovic the overwhelming favourite.
Yeah, most definitely. Last but not least, I mean, we spoke about Coco. Wozniacki, obviously she's feeling very good about her tennis. She had a fantastic run. Got to give her a mention. Think that she'll definitely, I agree with Coco, if she goes on and stays on the tour, she's going to be up there. She's going to be a seed. She's definitely good enough.
Well, she's already said she's not going to now play any more tennis this year. But what she will do is be playing the Australian Open. So I feel like she's going to just play in the slams, and she's definitely good enough to go well and go far in there. So
I heard she was whispering, was it to, like, I can't remember who she was whispering to. One of the panellists on one of these, or somebody in the stands, a former player, and every time that they were hitting the ball in one of the women's match at the past slam, she was saying, I could beat all of these on the court. And she's come into this tournament and proved she can pretty much beat a lot of the top players.
Yeah.
And it's just Coco Gauff. She's in scintillating form. If she didn't meet her, she might have made quarterfinals, maybe semi-final.
yeah, no, I agree.
Any other last people just to give a shout out to?
In terms of, well, yeah, one, Sastaya. We watched it live together, and that was a really good match. She completely blitzed her opposition in Belinda Bencic, the gold medalist at the Olympics. I thought Sastaya was awesome on the day. Just played some really good scintillating tennis. And there is one more tweet I want to bring up. I don't know if you've got it there, but if not, it's this one here, Carlos Navarro's tweet. And this is players in the 4th round at the US Open by age.
I've got it. Yeah. It's just in a weird order. Just bear with me.
It's okay. It's quite an easy one to bring up. And the reason I like it is because it just highlights, basically. I'm sure the Djokovic fans are going to really appreciate me sharing it, because it just highlights the insanity of Novak Djokovic. Because I feel like let's be honest, the best age I feel would be about 25, 26. That's when you're at the peak of tennis. That is where you're going to see the bulk of the players. It's a bit different this year, in fact, that we've got so many young players coming through, but I don't think that is the norm. Most likely sort of 25, 26. But let's highlight that. Incredible how we've got so many good young players. Sinner, Alcaraz, we spoke about to the death, and we know how good they are. You can consider them as some of the best in the world. But Arnaldi now doing it after losing the Next Gen finals. It was one of the longest Next Gen finals in history in which he lost. He's then gone on since then, won a Challenger, won some other events, and done really well and gone deep. I think he's beat some... Who did he beat? Did he beat...
I don't know off the top of my head.
He's beat someone. He beat Casper Ruud this year in a Masters event. He's beat some top players. So
he's got the pedigree.
He's turning a corner. Hijikata, not quite seen that out of the Grand Slams, but still shown pedigree in Grand Slams.
Against Nadal, I thought, when he played him.
Agreed. Stricker, jury's out for him still. I'm not seeing enough of him, but definitely one for the future. Done very well here. Draper, so much to say with him. If he can just keep all the injuries at bay and keep his mental focus there, and him handling the heat. We've seen him suffer with like sort of heat exhaustion in certain situations. He, ability-wise, is a top 10 player.
Yeah.
I'm going to even say that now because he's that good. Shelton, incredible as well. And he's only 20 years old, Ben Shelton. So if he's hitting 149 mile an hour serves now, at 25, could be cracking 160.
Imagine. He perfects the technique to the point where he can hit a 160.
And then, of course, right at the top, this is what we need to speak about. Novak Djokovic, 10 years older than Zverev, still one of the favourites for the event.
It's mad, isn't it?
Have we ever seen something like this ever in sport? And will we ever see something like this ever again?
What I want to see is when we get 4 years down the line and we still see that name at the top.
Well, I don't think we can. But will we ever see something like this ever again, Ben?
Maybe when Alcaraz becomes 36.
I don't think so, personally. I think it's very difficult to compete with
he's got
what he's done with his whole nutrition and the way he looks after his body.
Discipline.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects to it, and it's just, I don't think that can be reciprocated.
People these days, I don't think they have the same level of discipline that people of that generation, which is probably my generation. I feel that the discipline levels, certain people are using the science, but it's there for everybody, but just certain people are really, really focused on it. If there were more people like him, he may have more challenges.
Yeah.
But this is what it is. He is almost like a bionic guy at this point. I feel like he is. I think we changed his name to the Science Project, Novak Djokovic, because if he could be getting younger. I mean, who knows? Maybe in like 4 years' time, he starts playing even better than he is now.
Yeah, I don't know. He's certainly incredible, and I really do like that statistic because it highlights just how incredible he is for 36.
Keep going.
But anyway, let's wrap it up there. Thank you for joining. This has been day 7 action. The week's gone. We're moving into the second week now. Make sure to join us for plenty more tennis action. We've got some big names in action today. Medvedev's going to be playing, Alcaraz, and some really good ones on the women's as well. Join us for them, and of course join us for our daily episode tomorrow. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you very, very soon. See you then.
Iremos.
Vamos, Galitos.